What's good, y'all? Lonnie Appleton here. I don't have a really pretty bow to wrap this up in to give you the topic, but I'm talking relationships and friendships. But there's a couple things that I want to address in this video or the next two videos, so just ride with me. Continuing on the previous video, my daughter trying to resume a relationship with someone, and I give her the language to use to try to move past the impasse in their relationship. But we have to understand everybody doesn't have the emotional maturity, especially our boys and our men. There's so many advocacies out here to help our women evolve and become strong and to become articulate and to all these things for our women to be these freaking superstars. Meanwhile, we have sports programs for our boys. We have let's become more manly programs for our men. So while our men are becoming more manly, our boys are becoming more manly, our girls are becoming more well-rounded. So our boys and our men are being left behind. That's important because now my daughter is dealing with a situation where she's trying to resume a friendship with someone, but she said something that was received as highly offensive to this person. The way that she meant it, she did not mean it offensively. But it was received, and I can understand how it was received the way that it was received. But I asked my daughter, I was just like, did you mean it that way? And she was like, no, this is what I meant. And I was like, well, tell them that, because if you don't fully explain yourself to someone, which is a form of emotional maturity, I was going to say security, but I think they go hand in hand. If you are not secure in your ability to communicate and manage your emotions and express yourself, then you don't have the maturity. So it is insecurity and immaturity. Boom, there it goes with the T's. Security, immaturity. I look for patterns and everything, my bad. So anyway, she goes to this person and she's like, I would like to have a conversation. And that person who has been offended by what she said is stopping her right there and say, I think you're trying to do too much. It ain't that serious. And I think that's the first point that we need to look at. It is that serious if you value the relationship. How many relationships have we walked away from or have discord within the relationship because talking about it is doing too much? Being able to explain your perspective is doing too much. And this is what we encounter often when dealing with males. Females want to talk it out. Males want to shut you down because you're doing too much. But that's because they're not comfortable sharing their feelings. Pay attention to that. So because they're not comfortable sharing their feelings and they're not going to admit that they have an insecurity, they're going to say, you're doing too much. What's good, y'all? Lonnie Appleton here. We are discussing friendships, relationships, and males' ability or inability to express themselves. Because somewhere along their path, as they were being raised, someone did not teach them how to express themselves. So now they're an adult, and someone's asking them to speak. And not even an adult. This conversation is about teenagers. So we're dealing with a little 17, 18-year-old little boy who's telling my 17-year-old she's trying to do too much because she wants to have a conversation and clear the air. So how many misunderstandings are we all walking around with because someone's refusal to allow a conversation to take place to clear the air? When you do not allow someone the opportunity to clear the air, you are essentially saying, I am okay with this misunderstanding. I am okay with living with confusion. I'm okay with creating my own narrative within my head and running with that narrative versus you telling me what's going on and now I can make a better assessment of how I want to respond to this. No, I'm okay with discord. That is what you were saying when you were telling someone they are doing too much when they want to talk about a problem. So our men need to move past that because our women are more than likely wanting to clear the air. But our men are taught to be silent and strong, and we don't talk. We lead. How the hell you lead without words is beyond me, but here we are. So my daughter goes to him and is like, hey, I want to talk about this. And he's like, nah, I'm good. We just gonna be smooth. Whatever the smooth means. And so I tell my daughter, I was like, well, you've burnt that relationship. At this point, if someone is telling you that they don't want to have a conversation to gain understanding, one of two things are happening here. One, they don't value the relationship enough to clear the air. If you upset someone or bump up against something in someone who is a friend, and you don't want to allow the space for someone to clarify and to clear up the discord, you don't care enough about the relationship to do it. And that's cool. I've had plenty of relationships that I accidentally say something or they accidentally say something and we just never talk again, and I'm okay with that. The only problem with that is if one person values the relationship more than the other one, that person is going to keep trying. And then society tells us, oh, they're thirsty. No, they just actually valued the relationship at a higher level than you did, and they didn't get the cue. The second thing that could be happening is they do value the relationship, but society tells us we will sooner throw a relationship away than admit that we don't have the emotional maturity or the words to express ourselves. So we don't know what's happening here because we got shut down with smooth. Alright, we are talking emotional maturity in friendships and relationships and being able to communicate and speak your mind. What's good, y'all? Lonnie Appleton here. If you have a couple of minutes, I'm wearing my merch today. LonnieTaylorArt.com/store. But anyway, we are talking out what my daughter is dealing with right now because I think this is something for us all to learn from. I am starting to do series because I don't know. I keep talking and it's lasting longer than 3 minutes. So here is a series on friendship and relationship and emotional maturity and whatever else manifests while we're talking. So anyway, this person tells her, we just smooth, whatever. And I'm like, well, sorry, Bailey, but you burnt that relationship. What you said was so offensive to him that he internalized it. And now he doesn't want to deal with you on that level anymore. And you have to receive that. But I told her one of two things are happening. And I explained it in the previous video. One, he doesn't value the relationship. Or two, where we left off in the last video, he doesn't have the emotional maturity to know how to talk things out. And that's how we raise our sons, and that's why I want to have this conversation, because we are not raising our boys to be expressive. We are raising our boys to be the strong, silent type. But now our girls are running into these boys who, when we need to talk through an issue, they don't have the intelligence to do it. And it's not their fault. It is not these men's fault that they don't have the words to express themselves. It is not these men's fault that when they do have to start expressing themselves, they now feel vulnerable because they're doing something they've never done. And now they're getting angry because they've always been allowed to express anger. And now we have a problem. So either our men or our boys are cutting off relationships that they truly value, but they don't know how to move past this impasse because they have never been taught how to. And society says, I'm going to cut that off, so they don't know what to do. And instead of admitting that insecurity to themselves, and any time you run across an insecurity, that is your body's way of telling you this is a point where we need to do some work. So men look at that insecurity, and instead of allowing themselves to move into the insecurity and start working through that insecurity, they shut it off and say, nah, I'm good. You're doing too much, ma. Relax. And the problem isn't the men. The problem starts with the boys. The problem starts with how we are raising our sons. We need to raise our sons to be vocal and expressive and be able to talk through their feelings. You want to know why you're dealing with a violent, volatile individual? It's because he doesn't know how to express themselves, or she doesn't know how to express themselves any other way, because what was demonstrated for them was not a healthy form of expression.